out to Socrates. Socrates still trying to get the opening. Oh, Socrates! Whoa!
And there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club.
Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, your boys took a hell of a beating. Your boys took a hell of a beating.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Your Boys Took a Hell of a Beating, and this time it is the top 10 World Cup songs, which I know is the episode that everybody has been waiting for with regards to the upcoming World Cup. So with me are two very special pop pickers. First up, Mr. Aidan Williams. Aidan, this was your idea. Welcome.
This had to be done, let's be honest. It's just sad that they don't do such things anymore. So it just forces us to look back to the past, which is where it's always better.
We'll decide about whether it's unfortunate or not when we've gone through our list of 10.
Some of it's better. Let's leave it at that,
yeah. And obviously for such a special occasion, Mr. Stephen Scragg, the fifth Beatle. Stephen, welcome. Welcome to this edition.
Looking forward to this. Yeah, the 2026 England squad. Yeah, it would have been good doing a kind of, who are we now? We're Tuchel's 26 and all of that. Yeah, it would have been good, the top of the pops kind of like performance where Phil Foden's there front and centre and then he doesn't get chosen in the squad. Would have just left an indelible mark upon such proceedings. I'm with Aidan. It's a sad passing, but it is what it is.
It's like the musical version of that classic Panini sticker where your picture's taken, you're in the book, but you're not actually in the squad.
Yeah,
because you've either been injured or just not selected. Yeah,
there's something mythical about those players that are kind of like, yeah. I don't mind those Panini albums. What, did you get 17 or 18 players? So you knew that 4 had missed out already. So if you're a player and you're in that 17 or 18 in the Panini album, yet you can't get in the actual 22, then yeah, you'd be gutted. You would be gutted.
Okay, so the way this is going to work, as with all episodes of Top of the Pops, first of all, the intro is going to be Phil Lynort's Yellow Pearl, because I think that's the classic Top of the Pops intro. So there's going to be a lot of imagining need to be done here by, or some technical wizardry by Dave Bowler. Who knows what will be inserted at this point. Ideally, Yellow Pearl, reproduced by Midge and Rusty Egan, just in case you want some real definitive version. So we're going to go in, count down the chart from 10 to 1 and find out which is our we'll go with our ultimate World Cup song. So we're straight in at number 10 and we're on the ball with Ant and Dec. 2002 World Cup.
Oh, well, yeah, I was surprised that this one's even made the top 10, to be perfectly honest. So I'm impressed. I did select it. I did nominate it. I think this is utterly naff in a good way. It's pathetically bigging up the England players and the soon-to-be golden generation who would fall flat on their arse. There's some very iffy acting from the fine actors that are Ant and Dec. Whatever happened to them, who knows? Looking very youthful in 2002, I have to say. And there's a bonkers tale of our two heroes blagging their way to the World Cup by pretending to be Sven and Tord Grip. I mean, we would never have heard of Tord Grip if it wasn't for this particular era, but he became very well known. Sven's the man. They sort of not quite sing. What are they doing? Are they half rapping, just speaking? I don't know. They have got form for it, attempting and pretending to rap, haven't they? So I guess that's what they were doing. He's got a plan, they say. We found a super Swede, a nation reunited, and England comes alive. Golden Balls is captain and Heskey makes it 5. I mean, who cannot love that? Who cannot love that? Much of the song, however, is just the title repeated over and over, and that's the best bit of it. That's why I like it. there's an attempt, I guess, at capturing the terrace chant vibe, a bit like Three Lions had done a few years before. I guess it didn't quite do that. It's cringy as hell, but the bit towards the end, the whole Neville to Campbell, etc., all the way through the team before Heskey passes to Owen to score, it's delightfully naff, but positively optimistic. It's a crazy, wonderful piece of music that should not be forgotten to history. That this isn't the worst England World Cup song is to its eternal credit when it was Anton Deck just repeating a few words over and over. It's way better than the awful official 1998 song. This was the official 2002 song somehow. No players within sight of it at all. So if for naught else, all of that makes it worthy for me. Beautifully cringy and doesn't pretend to be otherwise. So great stuff.
I love that justification. And you made me smile while you were talking there, because I'm not going to lie, it's the Todd grip element that swung this for me. As a top 10 entry, I think that's genius, because as you say, no one will ever forget Todd Grip, and yet I highly doubt if I was sat next to him right now, I would know what Todd Grip actually looked like. But I do know of his existence. Stephen, we're on the ball, Anton Deck, straight in at 10. Any early thoughts on the Geordie duo?
The amount of times we've done this podcast and thrown in our top 40s and stuff like that, how many times you've said, Stu, there's absolutely nothing in the top 10. We have to go down to about number 38 until we find something that we want to listen to.
That's how it works.
This is well within the spirit of that. I'm so amazed that it made the top 10. So amazed this made the top 10 that I didn't even bother giving it a listen as a reminder. So I can't even think what it sounds like. It's totally off my radar. I'm going to have to go, I don't know, once I'm on mute again. I'm not sure I can forgive them for the Santander adverts at the minute as well. So it's kind of like, yeah, that most recent one. Yeah, we're not being funny, we never are. And I'm sat there thinking,
I guarantee, Stephen, you've sat through worse than this while you've been preparing for this pod. I guarantee.
Is this kind of like meat pie, sausage roll, Common England give us a go bad? Or is it kind of like, you know, which could be kind of like sponsored by Greggs? Are we talking on a level with that? Or is it actually kind
but
of
in a good way.
But is it all right? Yeah, that's the thing. See, I don't mind Anton Deck, actually. The kind of, you know,
national treasures.
National treasures, are they? I wouldn't go that far, but, you know, they don't offend me. It's the best I can say.
I mean, I clearly worry here, because obviously the bar has been set quite low now, apparently, to get into the top, to get into this particular top 10 rundown. Okay, so Anton Deck, I'm going to come to you because I'm going to ask questions as we go along, but I'm going to ask about celebrity collaboration with World Cup songs as we go along. But I think there's far better versions to come down the line with regards to celebrity collaboration. So I will get your opinion on that. Likewise, the classic ensemble of players in the background also contributing to World Cup songs. Again, I'll get your opinions on that later on. But we're going to move up the charts. So down 3 at 9, it's Put 'Em Under Pressure, spelled EM. And that's the Republic of Ireland, 1990 World Cup. And I've got to say, before Stephen talks about this, there is a lovely Irish lilt to Jack Charlton's voiceover.
We'll prepare and we'll go and we'll do our best. We'll put them under pressure.
Isn't just the inspirational words of Jack Charlton within this? I'd totally forgot about this. And when I was doing my kind of like, just looking at it, thinking, surely Ireland did a song for 1990. You would, wouldn't you? Never qualified for a World Cup before, surely you are. And then I put it on, and what is this? And there's just somewhere at the back of the mind thought, no, I have heard this before, but not since 1990. And I probably heard it once or twice at the time. But yeah, this is kind of like, I don't know, some vague KLF kind of vibes to this, with a lot of kind of cutaways and mad kind of like things that you wouldn't expect. I mean, as it starts, it almost sounds like Enya's involved, which is kind of like a bit disorientated to start with. And then you've got all the kind of like Jack Charlton doing his kind of like monologues and his inspirational words, and with the backing track, it's kind of like with an electric guitar and Yamaha keyboard version of, I don't know, it's got very much got a kind of, I don't know, it's a peculiar, the ole 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 that's in there. It's got a little bit of, I don't know, hothouse flowers. It's proper got like KLF vibes, as in I'll throw 6 genres into this and put some unexpected vocals in it. So yeah, it's the spirit of KLF without sounding like KLF.
You've really managed to hide that way beyond what I thought it was with your analogies and musical inspirations to that song. I will have you know that this was produced by U2's Larry Mullen. Now, please don't think that's just knowledge that sits in the back of my brain, because it really doesn't. But
you've done your due diligence, Stu. It's good
Thank you very much so. The particular highlight for me of this is I like the videos that sometimes get put together, and for some bizarre reason, there's a cutaway shot of Chris Houghton putting on a pair of sunglasses that's filmed in black and white, and I'm thinking, it just needed a bit of footage.
It's magical, and the weirdest crossover is a little bit of Paul McGrath footage, and then the electric guitar goes all a bit Riverdance at one point, and it's kind of like, this is just like the bizarrest, most magnificent thing I've forgotten about and be reunited with.
Aidan, for you, your thoughts on number 9?
Yeah, I don't even remember hearing this at the time, I've got to be honest. So when I listened to this yesterday, it was a bit of a shock to the senses, I have to say. I mean, it was pleasingly, it wasn't just the same old electronic formulaic pap that many songs of through the 80s were. Obviously, 1990 changed things a little bit. We got loud guitars and loud drums. That's good. Jack Charlton's Pearls of Wisdom, about 1 million ole ole oles. I don't know, like you say, it's several songs all merged together, which it gives it a slight bizarre slant. It's a little bit of a rip-off of Ali's Tartan Army at one point as well, which
there's
done about that.
Yeah, it did seem like I've run out of ideas here. What can I do now?
I'm going to steal this one from 12 years ago from another country. Yeah.
Which again leans into the KLF kind of spirit within.
Well, it leans into the Irish spirit as well, because they stole their players from other countries too, didn't they?
Oh, good one. I like that.
So there you go. So I do think it loses a little bit of credit for that in my mind. But it was, given I don't recall this at all from the time, I was not too disappointed, other than the fact it was a bit weird.
What are your thoughts, Aidan, on the sort of monologue voiceovers on a World Cup song?
I quite liked it. Jack Charlton, he can sound tough but also soothing, and I think that's a perfect little combo. I mean, that's not an easy one to pull off, is it? No, I thought it was all right. It felt like a voice speaking from another world almost, and it was like the greatest pearls of wisdom you could possibly ever hear, as though, I don't know, it's just the voices in your head. That's what it was like.
There's a little touch of William Shatner when he's doing kind of like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and stuff like that to it all.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit strange. But in general, I think the voiceover, because there's others that have had bits of commentary in, aren't there, and things like that. That usually adds a nice little touch, I think.
Excellent. Well, we're going to move on to our first entry from what is proving to be an iconic World Cup for World Cup songs. And it's a 1982 World Cup song. And this one is another, clearly the Irish really don't like to use overly too many letters when they're giving their World Cup titles. But this is just simply titled, You're a Man. And the beauty of this, if it couldn't be any more Irish, is that it's another celebrity collaboration with Dana.
Always score a goal or two, and we'll show them what to do. Yes, we'll run until we drop, and we're sure to reach the top. When your man gets the ball, Northern Ireland has it all. Oh, we're off.
Mr. Stephen Scragg, your choice?
This was my choice. I'd kind of forgotten about this a little bit. When I come to listen to it, I think it was totally familiar as soon as I heard it, though. It was just kind of like, but looking back to 82, this totally got overshadowed by like Ron's 22 and I Have a Dream. You couldn't argue that. But when I was thinking, it's comparable. It's totally of a trio. Though the Scotland, the England, and the Northern Ireland offerings here are absolutely the seeing eye to eye, without a shadow of a doubt. the fact that I've been worried that I'll call it Yamar rather than Yamad has played through my mind for the last 72 hours or so since we've got these lists up and running, which Dana thankfully doesn't say. But she does have a bit of a fascination. I don't know where she thinks Spain is. I'm not sure if her geography is kind of like up to scratch.
I know what you're going to say.
Her singing is fantastic. She is Dana, but it's not going to rain in Spain during the summer of 1982, Dana. It's not going
Absolutely
to.
not.
She is really fixated with the fact that it'll be okay. Don't worry about the rain. And it's kind of like, well, what are you doing? Are you leaving your washing out in Belfast before going to Spain or something? What's up with, or Derry? Is that what this is? Because it's not going to be it's not going to be raining in Seville.
I mean, Aidan, the best part for me because when I'd never heard this, I'd never heard it, and then when I listened to it, it's gonna be a throwback to my mum when I talk about this, because I feel like Dana's been roped in, has zero clue about football, so just comes up with your man, because she has no idea of any of the names of any of the players in the squad. So it's just a nice summation of when your man gets the ball, which could be any of them.
Yeah, it's weird. When I was saying on the last one from the 1990 Ireland song that it didn't feel like formulaic pap, this is what I was meaning. This is formulaic pap. However, it does have a certain charm, and I think that's just because of how catchy it is, I suppose. It sticks in your head. There's no denying that. It sticks in your head. And I think it's fair we include Northern Ireland. We couldn't go to 86 because everything for 86 was awful. I think it's fairly clear to see. So, yeah, this was good. We'll be sure to reach the top, it says. Well, that fits the sort of overall stereotype of some football songs, that they're ridiculously, stupidly positive, as in, we're all going to conquer the world, where simply we're not. There's little bits, I don't know whether it's just me, sounded a bit like the flute and drums type situation going on in Northern Ireland. I don't know whether that's appropriate or not for the entire squad. But anyway, Martin O'Neill's thoughts are not available. But yeah, it's a fairly joyous ditty, even though a slightly weird one. However, what I did spot while searching about this and, doing the thorough research that we are renowned for here at Your Boys to a Hell of a Beating, this song was voted by RTE, so this is Republic of Ireland channel, the worst World Cup song ever. This was the number one worst song ever, just ahead of The Village People in Germany for 1994. So, I mean, what can you say about that?
Well, the frightening thing is it's the 8th best in ours. So I'm not sure who's right and who's wrong.
Somebody's wrong, yeah.
RT have got it all wrong here. All wrong here. I mean, when I've glanced around online as well, there is speculation that your man is meant to be Jerry Armstrong, and which would tie into the lyrics fantastically, because he was your man in against Spain, putting the ball in the back of the net, and for Dana, no sign of rain in Seville. No sign of rain at all.
Just to add some context to that, though, in terms of their worst rating, whether we agree with it or not. Number 2 was that Village People from 94. Number 3, A Special Kind of Hero by Stephanie Lawrence from 86. I don't know that wasn't a team one. Then we got a Crazy Frog song from 2006. And then On Top of the World by the Spice Girls and England United. So I agree with that bit. But your man, I think, is a little bit hard done by.
Definitely. You've just rattled off 4 or 5 songs that are definitely worse than your man, or your ma, if you want to call it your ma.
I would like to think that could have been enhanced if there was a tabloid illicit romance between Dana and Jerry Armstrong. That would really. And the other thing that I picked up with this single as well is when you see the single cover. I mean, obviously for people who are under 30 listen to this, there's a lot of background research needs to be done over the course of this. But the single cover is obviously green, classic. A squad photograph, also classic. And then there's an insert of Dana at the top left, like she's a squad member who missed the team photo, and it's just been inserted in the top left.
Signed in September from Glentoran. That type of vibe to it, doesn't it? It really, really does. And before we move on from your man as well, I think Dana was the perfect kind of like accompaniment to this one, because Northern Ireland's World Cup campaign in '82 had all kinds of everything
Apart from rain.
apart from rain.
Okay, so let's move on with our charts now. This is a big climber. It's up 14. It's at number 7, and I love this just purely for the visuals. It's "We Have a Dream," another 1982 World Cup entry by B.A. Robertson, who I often, as growing up, got mixed up with Roger Daltrey because I thought they were the same person. And there is an opening monologue by John Gordon Sinclair. Aidan, this is your choice.
I absolutely love this. Now, I do remember this at the time. I remember seeing the Top of the Pops version that I watched again on YouTube just recently. Obviously, as a 7-year-old English person at the time, I had different thoughts and all of that in terms of the one that probably resonated most at the time. But this was a brilliant song on revisiting it. So yeah, the young John Gordon Sinclair is a year on from being Gregory's girl at this point, looking a bit like a mini Jim Kerr in a tartan suit with a bizarre storytelling array of screamed, yearning angst over a wonderfully lilting, soulful melody performed by the players and a few other randoms. And it's all about John Robertson-induced night fevers. What's not to love? So young John Gordon Sinclair, he dreamed of playing for Bonnie Scotland. Well, why not? But in his dream, he ends up getting tripped up in the penalty box. Robertson, the usual penalty taker, gives him the ball, which he chucks at him nicely on top of the pops and looks rather pleased about himself for it, I have to say. We never get to find out how the penalty went, spoiler alert, because his mum, or his ma, if he were Northern Irish, seems to wake him up before the denouement because he was probably going to kick her instead. It's wonderfully random. This is not what you'd have expected from a World Cup song, but it's fantastic. It's like so enchanting. It's, I guess, because maybe I like it more now than I might have done at the time. I probably thought it was weird. Now you kind of think, well, it's singing about something everyone could relate to. Who hasn't dreamed of being part of the team and getting a decisive moment in a match? So rather than simply going on about how great we are and how amazingly we're going to do in this World Cup, although admittedly the B-side was called "Wrap Up the Cup, We're Going to Take It Away." However, I haven't listened to that one, I should point out. I can't imagine it's as good. But I love this song. I love it. The Top of the Pops rendition, like I say, is superb. Well worth a look. It's a tartan, scarf-waving epic. It's got glorious lyrics. Got to go into a couple of them. "Hey, big yin, gone yourself." I love that one. And the memorable, "It's no the boy you're kicking, you idiot, it's me." I love it. It just rises to this gloriously yearning crescendo of deep longing for a dream to come true. And that's what Scotland at the World Cup is all about, yearning for the dream to come true. Surely they couldn't fail to give that young, shouty boy some joy in the World Cup. Surely.
It was a very eloquent justification for that choice. But I will point out, guys, before I come to you, Stephen, it actually made number 5 in the UK charts in 1982, and it's only reached number 7 in our charts, which I can't decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Stephen, just to follow on, my own personal favourite snapshot of this is the aforementioned video that Aidan was talking about. But it's the sight of John Walk, and I can't think who the other player is. And it's like a massive wedding at about 1 a.m. And there's just a whole load of Scotsmen stood swaying, wrapped up in various tartan items, just mumbling along to a song with one guy, as Aidan said, who was clearly the talented amongst the group, who's really taken the lead in this final drunken song/dance at the wedding.
Just a work of art. I loved this. I loved it at the time. I still love it now. What you've got there as well, throw on top, is kind of like the weird connotations of Steve Archibald being kind of like the first musical artist since the Beatles to perform 2 songs on the same episode of Top of the Pops. He's on the same episode doing what was Tottenham's '82 Cup final song. It was because it was Aussie's dream in '81, but it wasn't Aussie's dream in '82 because other things were going on out in the far Atlantic, shall we say. So yeah, he'd done the Chaz and Dave Tottenham song after the Scotland but so yeah, he was a weird pub quiz kind of answer for a long time with Steve Archibald. But no, this was brilliant. Yeah, everything Aidan said, the performance art within this, the esoteric lyrics, the whole storytelling element, the drama of John Robertson just lobbing him the ball. It had absolutely everything, and the Scottish lads in the background just looked like they were having an absolute ball.
I'm sure they were all absolutely hammered. Probably had something to do with it.
Absolutely hammered. And there's a few interested glances between some of the ladies, shall we say, and the players involved on the stage as well.
But I think also you mentioned the swaying and John Walk. So him and John Robinson and a couple of others were swaying out of rhythm with everybody else. And that's just bizarre as well. Like, how could you not get that bit right? But never mind.
It's just, that's the whole beauty of it. It's just so perfectly, just slightly out of kilter with everything.
And we get some bagpipes at the end, don't we? And we seem to have, is it an air stewardess from some Scottish airline who's there as well? I don't know. It's all wonderfully weird, but tartan everywhere. The crowd have all been given tartan scarves to wave. There's a saltire flag. Someone holds up the lyrics at one point to get the crowd singing along. Oh, it's just wonderful. What a song.
We've got one more song before we take an impromptu break. And I'm going to give you what the question's going to be. It's going to be the same question to both of you. So once we've gone through our biggest faller from 1 to 6, I'm going to ask you, what are the ingredients of a classic World Cup song? But you've got a little bit of thinking time. But in the meantime, I'm going to hit you with number 6. It's our third entry from 1982 World Cup, and it's our only B-side single, which again, for those of you under 30, more research for you to do as to what a B-side is. Some might argue it's a double A-side. So just in case you've done your research on what B-sides are, have a look at what a double A-side is as well. It's the England World Cup squad. It's Fly the Flag.
We'll take more care of them. We'll fly the flag. We'll fly the flag. We'll bring it home for England's team, and when we fly the flag.
Stephen?
Yeah, Fly the Flag. It was, this has stuck in my mind for years and years and years. Thought it was a figment of my imagination for a long, long time. And then, tripped across it. I thought, no, I'm going to have to look this up. And the introduction is something I've just like totally lost from memory. But then it gets into the chorus bit, and it's kind of like, the whole kind of product placement is absolutely hypnotic as well, because it's just heavy British Airways vibes going on. And again, like Scotland with the Air Caledonian stewardesses, there's the British Airways finest are there as well. So the only thing that they've not done here is kind of like the whole kind of like the hand gestures to say where your emergency exits are for the studios of Top of the Pops. No, they've not done any of that. What I would point out is that the title of the song, Fly the Flag, has very different connotations in 2026 than what they had in 1982. I hesitate to say 1982 was a more innocent time, because it was obviously very different volatility going on in 1982. So I had to kind of like, no, I'll have to rein that one in. But yeah, it had everything. Keegan's there front and centre, as you would expect him to be, because he's the superstar. But Dave Watson is the plucky kind of individual there who's kind of, he's the whatever the blonde-haired one was in his status quo, to kind of like Francis Rossi across
that would be Rick Parfitt.
Rick Parfitt, that's it. Rick Parfitt. I knew it, but I'd forgotten. But yeah, it does have very different connotations, that whole title, and I did kind of like think, do we put this? Do I nominate this or not? Because it's 2026. It all seems to involve shinning up lampposts and risking a broken neck in the name of intolerance, Stu. But in 1982, it was a very different thing.
All the things you've just said, I bought the single, it's one of those where if someone said what was the B-side, I won't be able to tell you. But as soon as the chorus kicks in, you found yourself knowing the words before they were actually on time. There was no waiting. The whole England bring it home, that whole thing. I knew it was coming, but I have no idea how that has stayed in my memory. What an absolute waste of space that has been in my head for the last 40 odd years. Aidan, thoughts on a B side or a double A side getting into the top 10? Well, number 6 actually in the charts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. I mean, this is the whole thing is wonderfully random, isn't it? I mean, you can't criticize B-side picks when we're talking some of these. I don't know how to describe these songs in general. If we went for a genre, I'm sure people could think of some words. So yeah, not at all. Why not? And I think Kevin Keegan was great in this and the other A side of it. He's so earnest and serious and all that, isn't he? And I think it's not his first rodeo when it came to releasing a record, is it? So, he knows what's what. And I think he took it far more seriously than everybody else. Everyone else probably just pretended to sing. And that's fine too. I like it. Why not?
So that's the first half of the charts, guys. So that's let's call them the also rans. They're the appetizer to what people really want to know is what's the top 5, because this will be the definitive version, unlike RTE's poor attempt at the opposite version of this chart. This is clearly going to be the one that everybody looks to in the lead up to the World Cup. And dare I say, we'll create a Spotify playlist off the back of this podcast if they've got any sense whatsoever.
Ooh, we will.
So before we go into the top 5, Aidan, I'll start with you. What makes a great World Cup? So what are the ingredients that makes a great World Cup song?
Well, I've jotted a couple of things down while Stephen was talking about B-sides there. I've got a few things what not to do, and then I'll get on to some things that you should do. So what not to do, don't have the players singing too much or at all. That's a good thing. They don't even have to be there sometimes, but I think their presence is possibly necessary, just not too much singing. Don't tell everyone how great you are and how you're going to win the whole thing. Don't bother with that. Not worthwhile. It just makes you look stupid. And not the formulaic electro pap of Witness Everything from 1986. So what should you do? Okay, I think you need to add in some random stuff to give it that little hook. So whether that's a rap from a Jamaican-born footballer, whether it's a lilting voiceover with pearls of wisdom, whether it's a shouty young tartan-dressed crazy kid, or a weird video, I think all of those things combined, you definitely need something or a couple of those at least to make it iconic. You've got to have something that makes it stick out, I think. So it's got to be slightly random and slightly weird. I think the video comes into that as well. So not just a bunch of footballers stood around a studio looking bored. That's not on. But yeah, reduce the amount of players singing and make it weird.
Stephen, anything else you would like to add to that from Aidan's criteria of reduced players and weirdness goes together to make a great World Cup song?
He's got a lot of valid points there. I would like to throw in some lines of commentary, but it does have to be a BBC commentary. It needs to be John Motson, or it needs to be Barry Davis. You can't be doing this with kind of like Martin Tyler or Brian Moore. It brings the tone down. It definitely needs to be a voice of authority, shall we say? From the nation's broadcaster. You've got to feel like you're not going to get an advert halfway through the song. That's a prerequisite. I would also like, I don't know, a little bit of a little bit of self-depreciation in there is always a good thing. But beyond that, definitely a bit of player interaction, but also the Dave Watson element. You do need someone in there who everyone expects to be in the squad, having a very big part in this, then not making the squad.
Excellent. I'm going to ask you another question, actually, and I know the listeners are absolutely desperate for what this top 5 is going to be. But I'm also going to ask you your thoughts on celebrity collaboration. So obviously we started off with Ant and Dec right at the beginning, and it was something that I wanted to come back to. So I'll start with you on this, Stephen. where do you sit with the need for either a celebrity singer in the case of Dana, or whether that takes away from the essence of what it actually is, or does celebrity collaboration enhance the experience?
I think well, it depends really, doesn't it? Because if we're talking down in 1982, then if we're talking, and we might come to a song from 1990 that involves a reputable band, and within that one, I don't know why Keith Allen's knocking around, but fair play, he plays his part. So yeah, I do think if you're going to do a World Cup song like that, then you do need that crossover. You do need that kind of like that figure of calm authority that knows the musical world. And it's like you wouldn't want Dana and Keith Allen playing up front. You would need.
Well, you say that.
Football. I'm on for a pro celebrity game of football. That's okay, but not just the celebrities. You do need someone to say this is how this is done. I'm all for a little bit of collaboration, but you need to let the players make a fool of themselves.
Aidan, your thought. Players are great at that, by the way, just by being themselves. Aidan, your thoughts on the celebrity collaboration in a World Cup song?
I'm not against it at all. In fact, I think it helped, because if you leave it to just the players, it's a disaster. I think that is clear. Celebrity collaboration, though, has to be with someone cool, or a group of people who are cool. But even that isn't necessarily enough, because, the much maligned England United from 1998 had a few cool people, but also had some uncool ones and a shit tune. So maybe it isn't just all about having some cool people who are not footballers. So yeah, it has to work right. But no, I think it's best if you have some element of this and push the players to the background. So yeah, but you've got to be careful who you pick.
Oh, actually, one other question. I've got another question for you. I've just thought of it just then. What do we think on the philosophy of having official World Cup songs and then the unofficial World Cup songs? What are our thoughts? Should there just be one, or do we need that? Do we need the official and the unofficial?
Well, yeah, I think there have been times where the unofficial's been far better than the official. And I think this might have been what was ultimately the death knell of this, is that the unofficial ones ended up being more popular in some cases. Obviously, you don't get player involvement in that kind of thing, but that doesn't mean it can't capture a mood nicely, whereas sometimes the official one completely misses the point. So yeah, I'm not against it. There's been some great unofficial ones over the years, which may feature. Who knows? I don't know. Only Stu knows whether they will feature or not. There have been some good ones. I think the official ones seem to drop off a cliff, and I know they stopped after 2006 altogether, but they did seem to get a bit more cringy and worse. Obviously, On the Ball aside, that being a classic. But I'm not averse to unofficial ones at all. There's been all sorts of other ones. Even I remember during Euro 96, we had England's Irie with Keith Bloody Allen yet again, and Black Grape, which, what's not to love with all of that? And that was thoroughly unofficial, but it was cool.
Stephen, any thoughts on whether the Men in Blazers at the FA should be picking the World Cup song, or do we leave it to random chance?
I'm all for the unofficial. I think anything that upsets the Blazers at the FA is good for me. Well, yeah, just all for it, without a shadow of a doubt.
One last question, guys, because they keep popping in my head. I promise this is the last one before we get to the top five. If you had to pick an artist, a musical artist, to collaborate for the 2026 World Cup song, of which there isn't one, and we lament that, who do you think would make a good collaboration in this current, please don't pick Ed Sheeran, in this current climate?
I think when these have worked best, they've been classic artists who stand the test of time, not just the flavour of the month.
Nice.
That's not to say that I can think of who it should be. Maybe in the modern age, we should be looking back to maybe someone like Stormzy or something like that, someone who's a bit of a cultural icon, whether you're into grunge or not. I think, he's got a bit to say, hasn't he? And he seems a reasonable type of a guy, as well as being popular with the kids 10 years ago, perhaps. So maybe that's what you need. Someone who was popular a little while ago, appeal to across the board, not too safe, a little bit of edge, but brings an element of cool as well.
I love that. So Stormzy, I'm sure if he's listening, he'll be absolutely all over that recommendation and testimony from you. Stephen, who would you be going to for a collaboration?
I think I'd like to go for Shakin' Stevens. As Aidan said, someone who stands the test of time and has been around for a long.
I said cool as well, didn't I?
What's not cool about someone who's kind of like in a denim jacket thinking it's
That's double denim? Yeah, it's not easy to pull off double denim.
To pull off double denim and give vibes of 1957 at the same time, it is a massive. That's an act of genius.
To pull off is doing some heavy lifting there.
He's doing some very, very heavy lifting. The Tony Knowles of the musical world. Would have to. It would definitely be the one for me. I am absolutely quite stunned that Paddy Power, especially, haven't kind of like gone down this line and got, when they do those kind of like is Teddy Sheringham wanting Arsenal to lose the Champions League final type of thing and all that. Get all these players of the past in, and that's my thought, and maybe that's why I'm not within the musical business.
I tell you what, if I was putting money down on how wide the range would be of your two choices, I'd have been miles away. It's wider than I could possibly fathom.
Who would have you gone for, Stu?
Between Stormzy and I don't know. You see, I never think of the answers to my questions. I just like to come up with a question.
Well, it's coming back at you now.
I know it is. I've got to say, I'm probably more inclined to go along Stephen's line, where they've got to be not quite naff, stand the test of time. So I'm going to throw you a Nick Kershaw. Is who I'm gonna put in there.
Okay, as long as he can wear that suit where all the visuals are going mad.
Because I mean, he's tiny, so he's going to be swamped by the players for a start. I imagine he's still rocking a shortened version of that mullet haircut, which I really hope he does. He had 2 songs probably back to back, and then we never heard of him again. But yeah, everybody knows who Nick Kershaw is, and sometimes I think a World Cup song could potentially reignite someone's career. And I'd like to think that Nick would really benefit from a collaboration on a 2026 World Cup song.
Well, maybe these 3 need to all get together and have the England United Mark II and see if they can improve on the one that went before.
I'm sure, again, if all 3 are listening, which I'm sure they will be, I'm sure they're now literally onto each other's agents about the possibility of getting together in the same room. Excellent. That went far better than I thought, guys. Back on with the charts. And now top 5. So we're straight in. It's the highest new entry. It's number 5. It's our final entry from the 1982 World Cup. It's an absolute all-time classic, if only for the red and blue jumpers that are worn by all the players. It's the actual A-side of the double A-side / B-side that we talked about earlier. It's This Time by the England World Cup squad.
We're on our way. We are on 22. Hear the roar of the red, white and blue. This time, more than any other time, this time.
Looking back now, it's possibly not as fun as the Scotland song because it's not as weird and random, but this is, it stirs so many memories for me. This is my first World Cup. Same for you guys. This, you heard it a lot. It goes hand in hand with the wall chart and the Panini stickers for me of just thoughts of España 82 and gearing up to enjoy my first World Cup. The video of the song, well, yeah, that hits a few of the things I said not to do, I suppose. It shows the boys recording at Abbey Road Studios. They weren't exactly the Beatles, were they? But Kevin Keegan is there singing earnestly and enthusiastically, as you'd expect, while most of the others of Ron's 22 very much not singing earnestly and enthusiastically. There's a few random hangers-on joining as well. Noel Edmonds is there. Why? I don't know. But it's cliched because it's stupidly positive about a country who haven't been in the World Cup for 12 years. But I didn't know that at the time. I didn't care. So this time we'll get it right. Why not? Absolutely. Drag us along with that. wave of optimism. What could go wrong? But really, it just reminds me of a glorious summer in 1982. A 7-year-old me didn't have a care in the world, was about to begin what would become a bit of a lifelong World Cup obsession. So this song, as slightly naff and cliched as it is, it's just so beautifully catchy, and it just takes me back there in instant. So it's a classic of the genre in a cheesy, wonderful way.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. This is peak. And like I say, I did buy the single. This is peak World Cup songs, and I know Kevin Keegan is coming for a lot of flack in positions 5 and 6 of the charts. I know he has, but I've got to say, and we've talked about how erstwhile his performance is, but the bit I love the most is he's that good at it. He only has one headphone. He's the cool artist who only needs the headphone cupped over one ear. Keegan knows. He knows that the cameras are on him. He knows what an erstwhile and honest / talented singer needs to do in these high-profile moments. As we say, unlike the aforementioned Dave Watson, who stood next to him, Stephen.
Yeah, poor Dave. But he is immortal. Do you know? I think Tony Morley's in there as well, and he doesn't make the squad. So Dave Watson is not on his own by any means of the imagination here. There's a couple here that Ron's clearly tuned in, or maybe Don actually. It'll be Don who's kind of like, obviously he'll send a letter or a carrier pigeon to Ron to say those two are definitely out. We're not having this outlandishness in the 82 England squad. But yeah, this is just a magnificent kind of this moment in time, basically. You know, fully remember that episode, Top of the Pops, and just being transfixed by it, because he had all these players that I know from being on green rectangular patches of grass on a stage doing music. You know, I think the first musical football song I remember is Ozzy's Dream from '81. And then there's the England squad doing it. They've not just qualified for the World Cup, but they're actually doing a song as well. How great is this? Yeah. So it was just a magnificent thing. I love the whole simplicity of the music as well, the instrumental part of it, and it has heavy vibes of kind of like GCSE music. Someone's been the kids are being told to like make an advert for I don't know, pet food or something, and they've got that kind of vibe going for it. So yeah, and the fact that the people behind this as well were the people in the band Smokey. So living next door to Alice and all that type of stuff. This is what this song has been born from: a collection of England players, some who will not go to Spain, where it may or may not rain, according to Dana. It's definitely going to rain according to Dana, but Dana's not going to be right about this. It's bizarre, but it's brilliantly bizarre.
I think we could all agree, before we go to number 4, I think we could all agree that 1982, clearly all 3 nations got a song in. One nation literally got 2 songs in without even trying.
Yeah.
There can be no disputing that 1982 was the pinnacle for World Cup songs across the board. And you'd like to think that when there's a chart rundown that it's probably dominated by football songs is actually quite frightening. So, on to number 4. Number 4, this is our oldest World Cup song entry. This is from the 1970 World Cup. It's a choice by Mr. Stephen Scragg, and it's Back Home.
Yeah, I just felt a duty to have to kind of like throw this one in. I did my list of choices. Aidan hadn't chosen it. I wish he had, so I didn't have to, because it is kind of like, it's like the national anthem. It's just kind of like other songs, other countries do it better. You hear the British national anthem, and then you hear the Marseillaise and think, absolute banger that is. Why couldn't they have come up with something like that? But I think, I don't know, associated so much to fantasy football, which was actually good for a year or two until it kind of like wore off. But this is a selection of players with no musical accompaniment in vocals. They do have kind of proper musicians, who are kind of like the songwriters and the producers. What's when I've come to look at it after picking it, what's great is the songwriters. One's Scottish and one's Irish. Bill Martin and Phil Coulter. Yeah, an Irish and a Scottish musician, which is just absolutely brilliant. Bill Martin, his most successful songs, "Puppet on a String," "Back Home," and "Saturday Night," which I can't place at the minute. But yeah, probably know it in the mists of time somewhere from I don't know, kind of like a pick of the pops by some DJ that's long since fallen from grace.
Aidan, you mentioned that obviously for the previous song, the '82 World Cup song. So essentially, England as a nation had 12 years to work on the next World Cup song. And we've progressed in over a decade from men who look like they are the halftime entertainment on an episode of Come Dancing in their tuxedos singing their World Cup song. And all we do is progress from tuxedos to red and blue Admiral jumpers 12 years later to exactly the same format. And you think of the musical changes and genres that went through the 70s and early 80s, and yet that's the biggest leap we take.
Paint it like that, it feels like this isn't quite right. I didn't pick this because I think it's a bit naff and a bit shit, if I'm being honest. It is the origin story of it all, though, isn't it? I suppose, if we're excluding World Cup Willie, which wasn't a team song, that was an overall tournament thing, wasn't it? So yeah, this is the beginning point of it all. I don't know. It's catchy. I'll give it that. It's repetitive. It sticks in your head. I mean, no one forgets it. So there is that. But yeah, they didn't progress on too much to 82, but the 82 one just, that resonates with me more for obvious reasons. This one, it just looks like you're stepping way too far into the past. And I think England obviously stuck with that formula, did it slightly better in 82 in my mind, but they stuck with the exact same formula, whereas Scotland veered off into lunacy and chaos. And I think all credit to them for that.
What I would say there as well, it's just how contrived all the lyrics are as well as part of this. I mean, I got it because you know the chorus bit, and I was thinking, what are they actually saying, the lyrics? And you find the lyrics and thinking, how do they fit these words into a song and make it kind of like plausible and trip along in the way that they do? So there is a kind of genius at play in kind of, because it's not.
So maybe if they hadn't been thinking of all these people back home while playing extra time against West Germany, it wouldn't have gone tits up.
Now, it's the forgotten verse about Gordon Banks getting ill and Peter Bonetti spilling the ball and stuff like that, which is the bonus lyric amid all this. There is a little bit of a kind of like self-preservation society vibe about the tune as well. And if you close your eyes and listen to it, it does sound like it's Morecambe and Wise doing this as well.
I was thinking more Gary and Paul from the podcast group, because no offense, guys, this is going to be right in their sweet spot. This is going to be right in their sweet spot. This song, they're going to be mortified at the fact that certainly Aidan thought that maybe shouldn't really be in this top 10, but actually it's made it into number 4. And to be fair, guys, it's made it into number 4 because it's the original, isn't it? There has to be
it's the benchmark.
You have to doff your hat to the people who set the standards, and then after that it was obviously, and it's going to be, people like the Stormzy and Shakin' Stevens and Nick Kershaw collab would not be a thing if it wasn't for Back Home. But I would like here's a little test for you. Now, I know because I've got the answer on here, but do you know what the B-side was called? You can't look it up. And the B-side was also sung by the England World Cup squad.
No.
If you get this.
Was it called Who Took the Bracelet? Or Bogota Bracelet or something like that.
It was called Cinnamon Stick.
What?
Cinnamon
I think
Stick.
you need to give us some of the lyrics here, Stu.
I can actually. I can give you some of the lyrics. Are you ready for this? It's sweet as sugar, twice as nice, cinnamon stick. I don't know what the tune is. Cinnamon stick, see that twinkle in her eyes. Cinnamon stick, cinnamon stick. So there you have it, guys. I don't know how you could question that.
Is this some sort of dodgy euphemism?
Hey, it's top of the pops in the 70s. Who knows?
Things that went on in the World Cup camp stayed in the World Cup camp, eh?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think it deserves a place purely based on, well, it deserves a top 4 place, based purely on nostalgia, and that at some point somebody had to be brave enough to start this whole genre. So we're into the top 3 now. Number 3 is a controversial pick, I'm not going to lie, guys. It's already been mentioned in passing from various references to other songs. It's an Aidan Williams choice. It's down 2 at 3. It's World in Motion, World Cup 1990.
You got to hold and give, but do it at the right time. You can be slow or fast, but you must get to the line.
What? Okay, I was not expecting that. I was storing my little notes on this one for a couple of songs' time, I've got to be honest. Well, Stu, I don't know what to say. I mean...
Sorry, guys. The British public have spoken.
The British public, a.k.a.
Who live at number 21. Yeah.
Well, I'll start out by saying that, to me, this is the best World Cup song there's ever been. Anyway, okay. It's fine, Stuart. I'll be fine. I'm getting flashbacks to the time that Gary wouldn't let me have Platini for the best forward in Euros history. And chose someone who only took a penalty instead, but never mind. I got over that one, and I'll get over this. Okay, for those of us who remember the 1990 World Cup, which in our gang isn't all of us, which is scary to think of. Anyway, remember that tournament, for good or ill. This song is a wonderful memory of a great time. You know, that it wasn't the World Cup with the most stunning football, but in terms of like narrative and iconography and all of that, it was one of the very best. And this is part of that, I think. Also, it was so utterly against the grain. You know, we've talked of back home, we've talked of the 82 one this time more than any other time, and 86 was just so crap, we don't even want to mention it. And then suddenly we land with this. I mean, what a contrast. You have to remember that we'd only had naffness from England songs before. And then suddenly we get this, so against the grain. It rendered everything that came before or since as mere pretenders to its crown, I think. So how did it come about? I mean, this is interesting too. Conversations between the FA's press officer at the time, a guy called David Bloomfield, and Tony Wilson of Factory Records fame. I don't know how they know each other, but they obviously bumped into each other, and the rest is history. That incredibly led to New Order being involved. Now, New Order and Joy Division predecessor and all of that, you know, they'd been very, very famous and renowned for more than a decade or so in their different guises and all of that. This was utilizing a song they'd already written, which was the first half of this song. They'd adapted it, tweaked some lyrics and so on, but essentially that's something they'd already written. Then we veer off into the sort of more traditional sing-along ending, but it's cool in the whole way it's done. We had lyrics added by Keith Bloody Allen, of course. Yeah, he's there. Also, interestingly, by Craig Johnson, Liverpool's Aussie striker, who he wrote, I don't know how much, history tells us that he apparently only wrote one line, which was the iconic "We Ain't No Hooligans, This Ain't a Football" song. That's his contribution as far as I'm aware. But yeah, if you're going to contribute one line, that's a pretty damn good one. What he was doing there, I've no idea. But anyway, that's by the by. The players, as I say, this is a good thing, don't have too much player involvement. Well, most of them could not be asked to be involved. They were told to go along. Most of them said, nah, World Cup songs are naff. I don't want anything to do with it. So there was only 5 or 6 of them went. Those that did, though, they got their moment. So in between the two halves of the song, we get the magnificent John Barnes rap. Now, fantastic story as well, of course, is that this could have been so very different and distinctly less cool had the attempts at the rap from Paul Gascoigne or Peter Beardsley been used. Apparently, allegedly, there are recordings of these somewhere on probably the dark web, which is probably where they belong. Common sense ultimately prevailed. John Barnes has rhythm. He's from Jamaica, after all, that helps. But, you know, he has rhythm, whereas the others didn't. He can pronounce things, that helps. And I say that as somebody from Newcastle. Dearie me. It doesn't bear thinking about. John Barnes had form as well. The Anfield Wrap was that the year before? I'm not sure. 2 years before. So yeah, he knows what he's doing. And obviously he was the right choice. There was also intrigue about the title. It was originally going to be called E for England, with lyrics that ran, E is for England, England starts with an E, and you can't deny it, it's great stuff. We'll all be smiling when we're in Italy. I mean, wow. It's that seems to have echoes of the real naffness of some of the others. Thankfully, somebody at the FA was savvy enough to realise what was going on here. They vetoed that title, realising it sounded rather like a particular drug reference. Well, yeah, they might have been right there. As it was, during the recording, New Order did indeed get high on drugs. The players got absolutely hammered drunk. Gascoigne was there. Need we say more? But we ended up with the greatest World Cup song of all time at number 3. It's just incredible in pretty much every way. It changed the mould as much as some earlier Scotland attempts we absolutely like, but for England, this utterly changed the mould. It was cool. It captured the right moment in time. This was obviously all part of as much of the whole story of England at 1990, and we've done a pod about it. We talked a lot there about the almost rebirth of England of football, English football, as being more and more popular around this time. And 1990 World Cup was definitely massively to do with that. But I think so too was this song. You could throw in Nessun Dorma as well and all the vibes of all of that. But I think this song played a huge role. But the two went hand in hand. England doing well and a very cool song. And that just built momentum as it went. But this is perfection as a World Cup song. No matter what this chart says.
I was going to say, it's not perfection, it's only the third best. I get all of that. The passion that you've spoken with has actually made me waver a little bit, but I've steeled myself, and it's okay. I'm still happy with the number one song in this week's charts. Stephen, for you, New Order, as it doesn't get much cooler than a reformed, like you say, out the ashes of Joy Division. I have my reasons as to why this shouldn't be number one, which I'll justify to Aidan because I really feel like I need to. I feel like I've really upset him and our friendship's on the line. So I do need to. I will justify this to him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to end up being like Platini and Gary, because
no,
as we've seen in this very module, that still rankles. That still rankles. But yeah, World in Motion, yeah, unsettlingly good. I think was how I could describe it at the time. It was given what we were used to in terms of football songs and especially World Cup songs, and just how much dross there had been in '86. Just how much enjoyably questionable stuff from '82 that was just there to embrace as younger children. Yeah. World in Motion was just, and then the John Barnes is part of it, and then they do some filming at Melwood. Barnes is wearing that great Liverpool kind of like training top as well, and it's a sunny day at Melwood, and it's just got everything going for it. Although Keith Allen's sticking around in the background doing his England stuff, but part of that is tongue in cheek, which is fair enough. And then you've got New Order, and to be fair, that I've slagged off the England '86 World Cup kit many times over. But the England had a good kit in 1990. That's a good England kit, and yeah, so it just visually looked well. It was a good song. It had John Barnes rapping on it. I was just looking at kind of like chart positions and stuff like that, and it's kind of like the way it seems to be embraced in other countries is utterly bewildering. It made number 21 in West Germany, which is bizarre. The Australians who traditionally love all things English, it made 21 in Australia. It was number 1 in Luxembourg. It made number 27 in Switzerland. It was number 4 in the Euro chart Hot 100 singles. Number 3 in the Canadian Dance and Urban chart. It made number 5 in the US Alternative Airplay Billboard chart. It's bonkers.
Also, another thing on the lyrics as well, because it was so different. It's bonkers how all those other people liked it too. Probably Italy wasn't on that list because Peter Hook was very much annoyed at the lyrics at the end. And I think these are the bits towards the end is probably Keith Allen's contribution, the chanty, shouty bits. Arrivederci, it's 1-on-1. Well, Arrivederci's goodbye. Peter Hook just couldn't get over the fact that just made no sense. Why would he say goodbye? It's 1-on-1. He wanted to say buongiorno or something, but it just wouldn't work lyrically. Arrivederci, it's 1-on-1, sounds great. It's just nonsense, but that's just perfect.
I think from what Steve has just said there, buys into my take on World in Motion. I listened to this again because I was doubting myself, and I listened to it in the car on my way to work this morning. My problem, although it's a good problem with World in Motion, if you remove John Barnes's rap, it's a great song, and I think that's its problem. It's a song that really just belongs in the charts away from being a World Cup song. I think that's one of the issues that I have.
But you're talking there of a song that doesn't exist.
Well, no,
it did have the John Barnes rap.
But so I think World in Motion is a great song, but it's a standalone New Order song that would go onto a New Order album. So I have a problem with that. My second reason why is I also think because of the nostalgia of Italia 90, because of that we reach a semi-final, it also gets swept up in that. I think if we'd gone out on penalties or in the group stages, I think that would have had a detrimental effect. So I think the song benefits from the tournament and England's performance within that. I get that these are controversial. I can feel you looking down the screen at me, Aidan. I'm not going to lie. I can see that you're seething. I can only give my opinions on perspective on World in Motion.
Everyone's allowed their opinion. Right opinions and wrong opinions are just as valid here, Stu.
Thank you very much. But so those are I'm not disputing the fact it's a great song. I'm disputing the fact it doesn't belong.
It's out of place. I get where Stu's coming from. It would be like, I don't know, the USA having one for 2026 and it being kind of like, Kings of Leon or something, or the White Stripes doing it.
Yeah.
It would be, it'd be a bit mind-blowing.
It's a waste of a New Order song is what I would say. It's
fair enough.
But I think we should move on to number 2 now because I feel like number 1 is not going to go down well, but that's okay. I'm all right with it. So number 2, just missing out this week. It's its second week at number 2. It's just glorious pathos. It's Ali's Tartan Army.
We're on the march for Ali's Army. We're going to the Argentine, and we'll really shake them up when we win the World Cup, 'cause Scotland are the greatest football team.
1978 World Cup. Stephen Scribe, if ever a song, a tournament, a performance, cast could sum itself up, this is it.
It's glorious. It's utterly glorious. I haven't said what I said before about kind of Ozzy's Dreams, the first football song, football record that I remember. No, Ali's Tartan Army. It was just omnipresent forever. And kind of like there's Andy Cameron in kind of like that Scotland shirt, which is just magnificent with the Umbro diamonds down the sleeve and just everything about that is magnificent. And it's the fact that it takes the piss out of England as well, which is absolutely magnificent. But it's the fact that it's just this, I don't know, it's kind of like ethereal anthem to misadventure. It really is this magnificent, I don't know, kind of mission statement that what's coming. Every time you hear it, you know what's coming on the football pitch in Argentina, and it doesn't necessarily marry up with what's being promoted in the song and what Ali MacLeod is kind of like. I mean, if you've ever seen that documentary on Scotland in '78 that's on the BBC, it's surely on BBC iPlayer.
Yeah, it is genius.
It is just one of the best things I have ever seen in terms of a sporting documentary. The whole kind of interwoven, and there's kind of like the Scots fella who marries the Argentine girl and all of that. It's just spectacular, and this is just the soundtrack to it. Yeah, those lyrics. When we reach the Argentine, were really going to show the world a brand of football that they could never know, and that's not wrong. Given what happened, that is not wrong. It's not necessarily in the way that it was intended, but that is so true. You cannot say that it might be unintentionally true, but that is true, and even then in a positive manner as well, because we see what they do against the Netherlands in the final group game. Now that's kind of like the football that this song is kind of like. It's billing is going to happen. Less so what happens against Peru. And I can understand Peru because it's Peru, and Christ, that kit is amazing. That's just one of possibly the most sartorially elegant football match ever, arguably World Cup match ever. Maybe that's a module for another day. We're representing Britain, and we've got to do or die. For England, can they do it? Because they didn't qualify. It's poetry. It's absolute poetry from the man camera.
Aidan, your thoughts on this song just missing out on the number one spot?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm not fine about what it's ahead of, but no, this is a great one. It is. I didn't pick it myself because I didn't want to hog all the good stuff because, like I say, I was in first. But no, you can't knock this one at all. It's terrific. As Stephen said, some of the lyrics are wonderfully crazy, and that's just terrific. The fact it's been ripped off so many times as well, mostly by the Irish, is to its credit and their, whatever the opposite of credit is, discredit. That's it. Mind blank for a moment. But no, I love it. It's great. Can't knock it at all.
Okay, so we're reaching the number one. Obviously, there's been multiple 1982 World Cup entries. There's been multiple World Cup representation across multiple tournaments. We've had multiple representation across the home nation. It's been a very fair and just chart that's been produced, also backed up with pure, unadulterated quality of musicianship and Dana, which I can't let that go, I'm not going to lie. So we come to the number one. It's an Aidan Williams choice. Now, I would like to, and what I like about this is a single line that I like from this song. I don't know why I like it so much. I think it's just the way it's said. And you teed it up beautifully when you talked about the arrivederci, it's one-on-one, why would you say goodbye, in that particular language. And this one has the lyric, bonjour, monsieur. It's Vindaloo by Fat Les.
Where on earth are you from? We from England. Where you come from? Do you put the kettle on?
Aidan,
wow,
your choice. And I will justify my choice, other than just the bonjour, monsieur. How that made that rhyme is just pure genius. And also, it's potentially a third entry for Keith Allen, who, if he was on royalties, has absolutely cleaned up in this episode.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him once, and he was talking about how good he was at World Cup songs. And yeah, okay, fair. Yeah. I'll give him that. We can criticize him for all sorts. Wow, okay. Vindaloo, Fat Les. This, we'll see how this goes down with the listeners. But this is utterly madcap, surreal nonsense. And that's why I love it. That's why I definitely think captured a mood at the time. Its lyrics are bonkers. The video is, I don't even know where to start. It's utterly, utterly bizarre. It's a bizarre parody of Bittersweet Symphony to start with anyway. It features, here we go, fat men in nappies, some of them carrying bags of Vindaloo. There's people dressed as stereotypical Frenchmen with striped shirts and strings of onions around their neck. There's French maids. There's nurses. There's a kids' ice hockey team. Why? I don't know. There's a marching drummer in military regalia. There's pissed up women. There's a priest. There's men in tuxedos with bald wigs. Matt Lucas is in there. So is David Williams. Matt Lucas has a fake arrow through his head. Damien Hirst is there. Keith Allen is, of course, there. But this time he's waving a pack of cheddar cheese, which he's introducing us to, of course. It's so utterly, wonderfully chaotic and was brilliant. It's wacky, it's crazy, it's nuts, it's surreal. It's way, way better than the awful official song, which was England United. It's had more mentions than most other songs on here, but that's because it was so horrific. And of course, it was way better than the other unofficial, which was the 1998 Three Lions remake, which was a travesty. That should have stayed where it was as a 96 classic. Anyway, Keith Allen, yeah, he's in there. He had a hand in World in Motion, as we say. I mentioned England's Irie from 1996 with Black Grape. Here he was again. He wrote this with Blur's Alex James, who knew, and also Guy Pratt, another bassist from various bands. Alan wrote the lyrics, of course. I mean, what's going on in your head to come up with this? I don't know. I think it was intended as a parody of football chants, but it ended up being adopted as one, in essence. In its own right, it became a classic. I think that's clear. They do not make them like this anymore. I love the nice, gently polite taunt of "we're going to score one more than you." It feels like so polite as a sort of way of dissing your opponent. It's lovely. And then the very weird, me and my mum and my dad and my gran and all that. We're off to Waterloo with a bucket of Vindaloo. And then they just randomly shout, "Bucket!" This is terrific. It did cause some controversy, apparently. I don't remember this. I just thought it was great. But some thought it was a bit of a hooligan's anthem. I don't know. The Guardian called it, and this is according to Wikipedia, so it must be true, an irritating, pretentiously proletarian jape, which seems a little pompous to me. They thought it was nonsensical. Yeah, but in a good way. Others thought it was a celebration of multiculturalism. I think they're all thinking far too much into it. It was just madcap nonsense, surreal. The video is a sight to behold. The lyrics are stupid and great, and it's so catchy. What can I say? It's a great, great song. And okay, I'll go with this choice, Stu. It's a good one. This is a classic, without question.
I thank you, sir. I'll come to Stephen in just 1 second. Yeah, for me, when we talk about what makes a great World Cup song is its ability to transcend into the stands. That for me is would you sing the song a bit like Three Lions with Euro 96 capture it brilliantly, and this comes a close second as to how it transcends into the stands. I'm not sure the Northern Ireland fans are singing Dana's bits about the rain. I'm not sure that's transcending itself into the stands. For me, and I know I talked about World in Motion and I said how it's almost too good a song. This is a song where if it wasn't attached to a World Cup, it would never even have been released. It wouldn't have even had a look in the charts. So this for me is what makes a World Cup song should not take itself too seriously. And as Aidan has so eloquently put it and described with numerous analogies, if there's one thing that this song does, is it doesn't take itself too seriously. It is an absolute zeitgeist of its time. It captures 1998 absolutely perfectly, where people thought anything was possible. It was the rebirth. It was Britpop. Nobody cared. You said what you like. Everyone bought into everything. And yeah, it just captures absolutely everything that, for me, that should be in a World Cup song. And Keith Allen, flipping heck. Honestly, I know that in this meeting between Stormzy and Shaky and Nick Kershaw, Keith Allen has got to be in that room at some point when they're having their meeting. Stephen, obviously over to you for the final say on the Our Boys Took a Hell of a Beating World Cup chart #1 single, Fat Les. I think a just and fair choice. But you can have your own opinions.
But yeah, clearly disappointed it's not Don't Come Home Too Soon by Scotland and Delamitri. But I can accept this. I can accept this. For all the reasons you've both said, is that it can't take itself seriously, and Christ, this song does not take itself too seriously. Pretend Richard Ashcroft being Paul Kay, who was Dennis Pennis in a parallel, simultaneous universe. It has got a bit of absolutely everything, but possibly esoteric that you could throw in there, and fair play to them for doing it. The fact that you've got a member of Blur involved in there as well. And it really is kind of the antidote to all kind of the concept of doing serious kind of like music in a World Cup song. I get why, and I now totally get why it's ended up being World in Motion at 3 and Vindaloo at 1. I really, really do. But yeah, this is, and I think as well that this was, I don't know, it was kind of like the antidote as well to kind of like Three Lions being regurgitated as well. You know, this was very much, I mean, I can remember being in nightclubs and this coming on and just the whole place erupting, you know, and you know, getting into it. It was horrendously infectious and impossible to ignore.
And that's what I'm hoping is that people go away from listening to this episode and just have that just earworm nagging away from now on. Just gently playing away in their head at work or driving or wherever they are listening to this episode. Fat Les, as it has been at work today for me, it's been rattling around in my brain all day at work today. But I can now finally get rid of that. So that's it, guys. That's the top 10. You have your number one. The great choices by you guys. I think it's worth just recapping for any listeners who are potentially looking at releasing a World Cup song potentially for 2030. Stephen and Aidan, clearly no players. It must be weird. There needs to be some lines of commentary, but only from the BBC. There needs to be some self-deprecation and a little bit of player interaction. And that is what we've decided sums up. And then I will add to that it must transcend onto the terraces and be able to be sung back at the players.
You've really got to own it as well. You can't be timid about this. Song that's just, it's not a football song, the song that's kind of like tipped into my head there. And I mean, so many teams at the 2026 World Cup, are Switzerland one of them? I've got a clue.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, they are.
Undoubtedly,
chance, yeah.
Whether anyone remembers it or not, there was a song called Edelweiss by Edelweiss, circa 1988. Switzerland need a version of that as their World Cup song. If someone can sort that out, then that would be appreciated.
I hate to throw in, but isn't that Austrian, Stephen?
Oh, is it Austrian?
Yeah,
well, that would be even better. That would be even better to have kind of like
too. So yeah.
Just like Back Home was written by a Scot and an Irishman, and let's have Austria singing Switzerland's song. That would be the perfect kind of scenario. I think
Falco could do it.
Falco.
Bit of Rock Me Amadeus just thrown in there. And would that be the Falco, Ramadel Falco, or the Brazilian Falcao, or which one are we having?
Mark Falco.
Oh, yeah. The Tottenham legend, yeah. Oh, there's so many of them.
Can we add Matt Bianco to the Shakin' Stevens Stormzy one as well?
Yeah. And the Falco
with a phone call halfway through it, as kind of like fielded by Mike Reed and Sarah Green.
And the Falco triplets could also just throw their contribution in there. Aidan, obviously this was your idea. I feel really bad that I actually ended up choosing what was number one, what was essentially your idea.
No, it's the nation's choice, Jim. Don't punch the
obviously,
news.
I'm the one who has to bear the news of what the nation picked.
That's
Aidan.
all it was, yeah.
It was a genius idea by you, Aidan, to run this pre-World Cup Top of the Pop special edition.
Well, I just hope that there's a lot of terrible music stuck in everyone's heads after this. And if that is the case, then our job is done.
Yeah, every part of me is hoping that people are now YouTubing Dana, Kevin Keegan with one earphone, John Gordon Sinclair, John Walk, the tuxedos from 1970. I really do hope that everybody is now stuck in some sort of, like I say, rabbit hole that they're really going to struggle to get out of.
See, I can't do the Keegan one headphone thing because my headphones sink into my hair.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So who'd be able to tell the difference?
He absolutely loves himself for it as well. He just absolutely loves it. Stephen, enjoyed the charts, enjoyed the countdown. Hopefully people have pressed play and record and missed out all the middle bit. of what makes a good song.
Absolutely. Record this podcast legally, rather than from your provider.
Yeah, just press play and record and miss out everything else.
And I love the fact that this opens the music department at Your Boys Took a Hell of a Beating as well.
Yeah,
very proud.
Absolutely.
Very proud.
The music department is now officially open. Gents, thank you ever so much. Obviously, it's the charts next week on the Sunday. Aidan, World in Motion is still not going to be number one. I am really sorry. Obviously, if Edelweiss is rushed out by Stormzy, or an Austrian version, and the Falcao brothers, and Nick Kershaw and Matt Bianco, and probably Keith Allen, and obviously we'll redo the charts. But otherwise, this is official.
Keith Allen has to be involved, otherwise it's just not going to quite hit the mark, is it?
Yeah. And obviously probably Damien Hirst, but we might throw Tracy Emin in this one instead, just for a little bit of variance. Guys, thank you so much. It really has been an absolute joy, and please join us again on Your Boys Took a Hell of a Beating for God knows what. Thank you for your time. See you again soon.